All right, good day, hi, and welcome. World War III update. Okay, I don't have any notes today because I said I'm going to use my intellectual memory to remember everything I was going to talk about today. Wait for it. No, wait. I forgot everything, guys. Oh, well. Anyway, no, I didn't. Okay, so. like, guys, like every day, okay, is like, okay, if you were alive during 1991, and I was a teenager then, and you saw the desert storm, the shock and awe, the soldiers with the night vision running across the freaking desert, machine guns blazing, and Bradley tanks and all that, and then the A-10s downtown Baghdad, bombing the shit out of that, the shock and awe and whatever, and we're like that night, everybody, like, my blood was running cold that night because um it's like we were so propagandized that the weapons of mass destruction, that Saddam Hussein might have ICBMs. I remember that. Like, I'm like, well, can I hope they can get these ICBMs before they can launch? You know what I mean? With the shock and all, they really were able to propagandize us so well, right? To the tune where I do remember, like, in my entire school, there was like one Iraqi kid, right? And he was happened to be in our class, and man, he felt like shit. Everybody was like, "Oh, those damn Iraqis," blah blah blah. And then he got up and he stormed out of the class crying, right? And it's like, the teacher's like, like, he's Iraqi. We're like, "Oh fuck, we didn't know." Like, we like the kid and everything, but we didn't know. But yeah, it was wrong of us. But like, could you not see how it happened? You know what I mean? Like, when you propagandize and scare the shit out of everybody, it's easy to get people to, like, I mean, listen to Fox News last night on one of the things. Like, I don't listen to Fox News, but sometimes you'll catch to see what they're bullshitting about. And they're like, the Iranian terrorist nation. That's how they refer to it, the Iranian terrorist nation. Why? Because they need you to hate the Iranians to justify the war, right? You have to understand, like, all these media are controlled by the same people that bankroll the war, right? So, like, there's, yeah, and the opposition is also controlled by the same money. A lot of people don't get that. Once you get that, like, you realize the world's a stage, right? But like, thousands of troops going here and thousands of troops going there, right? It's like 2,200. It's 2,500. No, it's 3,500. The 3,500 have landed. Now it's going to be 5,000. No, it's 6,000. No, it's 10,000. There's going to be 50,000 troops committed. Blah blah blah. They're buying, like, personal freaking nuclear bunkers, sending them to Jordan. Oh, like, you can't even make this up. Like, it's like, okay, what is that? Like, is that just like Trump going, I'm going to send so many troops, it's going to scare the Iranians into surrendering? Like, is this just, like, who's it for? You know what I mean? Like, and announcing everything. You know what I mean? Like, who's it for? We're going to do this. We're going to do that. So it's just like the ultimate saber rattling posturing because they don't know what else to do, and sending troops all over the place makes it look like you're doing something. Well, you are doing something. You're running up a lot of debt, and making a lot of people scared. Okay, because they need that fear. They need people to fear Iran's nuclear weapons and stuff like that, because they're 2 weeks. Oh, I mean, not like the last 2 weeks away from getting one, but this time it's really 2 weeks. You know what I mean? To the point where there's going to be, I don't know, like, you can't even make this up, guys. They're going to send in some V2 Ospreys to go and steal all, like, the yellow cake uranium. For, like, they're going to go in. They're going to send in these special hit teams that are going to be able to just go in there completely unopposed, and take out all their like, all their materials to make a weapon. Excuse me, but who the fuck thinks that up? You know, like I get it. The older boomer types typically fall for that stuff, but like, who really thinks that's possible? Uh, Now, is there forward liaison teams and stuff like that in Iran? Probably. The way they work is they don't engage the enemy. Like, they're probably sitting in the mountain ridges, like some rangers or something like that. Okay, yeah, here's the target. We're going to hit this. We're going to hit this. Like a schoolgirl, for example, that were killed. They've hit that target again. Dom sent me, one of my subscribers, Dominic, he sent me the video of those journalists and stuff like that in the Strait of Hormuz. And those guys were saying something interesting, because yesterday I made a video and I was talking about this, about cell phones and stuff like that, and how you can't carry that stuff on you because they can hone in on it even when the things are turned off, right? So whenever somebody says, "Oh, it's conspiracy theory that they're spying on you," but yet they can hit pinpoint accuracy with your phone off. They can kill soldiers pinpoint accuracy with drones and missiles and stuff like that when their phones are off. And yes, they can tap into that. They can spy on you. They're spying on you as like, what do you think these data centers are for? You know what I mean? So you just get better AI pictures, like, yeah, no, it's all weapons grade. Like, it's the most paranoid people on the planet that have to control every aspect of human life. It's ridiculous, but yet here we are, right? So here's the deal. You've got a situation where, like, these journalists are going around. They went to see the school and they just left, and bang, it got hit again. Now there was a Chechen, if you want to call him a rebel, whatever you want to call him, but like one of Kordorov's guys. But basically, he was saying, like, look, he goes, when they hit the school, they hit it on a Jewish holiday, and it was probably a blood sacrifice, is what they did. And he goes, like, basically, no, they got forward liaisons, they got enough intelligence that they know what they were hitting. You know what I mean? But they didn't hit it once; they hit it like 3 times. Now they've hit it again after they've blown, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Because they're actually, like, what they do is they hit it, and then they wait till people go into the rubble to see if they can find survivors, and then they hit it again, right? So that's just killing people. Like, that's just, So is it another Jewish blood sacrifice of some sort? Who knows, right? Probably, probably. You've got Israel out there now saying that any Hamas people that they have, or Palestinians, not even Hamas, but just Palestinians that they have in prison, that they can execute them now. They're trying to find easier ways to execute them. Like the Israelis, like the atrocities that they are doing, and it's like, oh, but the Nazis, the Nazis were nowhere near to the level of what the Israelis are doing. The Israelis are like, some of these people are just fucking pure evil. Like, there's no other way to really, go about it. Oh, my camera about to cut off again. No, so this is going to be a short video today. I got 36 minutes of video left, so before my camera's filled up. But the thing is that at least people are picking up on it. And again, it's going forward. Like, the Overton window right now on the JQ is like, wow, that's the biggest window. Like, you if you put that in front of your house, half your house would be gone. It'd just be all window. Because again, the noticing, right? And then we got all these, like, Bill C9. I still haven't seen the disaster that Bill C9 is going to be. Again, all these hate speech laws and stuff like that for keeping people safe, it's for one group of people that's really, like, okay, maybe some of the progressive groups, like the LGBT, like anything that goes to degeneracy, stuff like that, gets protected, right? And Jews cannot be criticized ever. I mean, like, that's the, Zionism, Jews, whatever, you can't criticize them, right? That's the laws that they're passing. And, but that's just acts of desperation. Like, at some point, like, you're starting to see, like, footage come out because they can't stay on top of it. Why? Because the surveillance grid that would keep people from, again, the Israelis going around killing, I think they just killed 2 journalists in Lebanon or something like that the other night or last week or whatever it was. Israelis killing journalists is not a new thing, right? Problem is, half the world's like, has something to say about it, right? So yeah, there's all that going on, and then while all that's going on, there's this other issue that a lot of people haven't picked up on, and that is again, it's still the food thing. You know what I mean? Like the way it works, like how war guarantees famine, right? Because you knock out the supply chain, um, the just the resources of copper. Taking copper out of land makes land less fertile, right? Stuff like that. So that has a like an, an effect as well. But like the fertilizer shortage, like a lot of people don't realize, about a third of the world's fertilizer comes out of that region of the world. Yeah, remember I told you guys back in 2020 that 2 to 4 billion people were about to starve to death in 2 to 4 years, and okay, we're now 6 years in, and last year when Donald Trump, like right after the first month, I told you with the tariff war. This was just the tariff war. I said with the tariff war, I'm going to revise that to 4 to 6 billion people are about to starve to death. Well, I'm still sticking with the 4 to 6 billion people. Yes, we've already seen. I think as of last year, like there was like over 2.3 billion people in food insecurity, right? But like for example, World War I um, led to like a massive famine in Germany, right? And World War II, Russia, like they lost millions of people starving to death. They were losing like 100,000 people a month or something like that in starvation. Okay, so it's not the soldiers. Everybody always looks at war and they count up the soldiers, but they don't realize like Russia lost 26 million people in World War II. 26 million. That is the largest amount of death, I think in any conflict. Next to right after that, they lose. You got Joseph Stalin who kills like 20 million people, whatever it is, and then you got Mao who kills like 80 million people or whatever it is. It's just ridiculous, and it's always the same communist tool: starvation. Henry Kissinger, hope he's burning in hell, but he was right. Control the food, control the population, right? Food is the mass weapon of destruction, right? And right now, the Strait of Hormuz, when you cut off the natural gas, you cut off fertilizer. And again, when something like 20% of the world's fertilizer comes out of that region, that feeds about a third of the, like a quarter or a third of the world's population. About 6 billion people will be affected by this, right? That's the estimate now. So give it 6 months, right? Who knows? So victory gardens are your top priority. If you cannot grow a garden, that's fine. But for example, go out and buy like a dozen turnips or a turnip or two a month. Even if you don't like turnips, well, you'll like starving less or more. You're gonna hate starving more than you're gonna hate turnips. But the thing about a turnips is you can cover them in a bit of wax, put them in a cold storage, and keep them for like a year, 2 years. You know what I mean? I've already experimented with pumpkins and squash and stuff like that. Even if you can't buy the stuff, buy stuff that stores long periods of time. That does not need refrigeration. Now, if you're in an apartment and that apartment building's hot, that's different. But again, learn how to can things. Look, the average, like in the 1940s, okay, the average pantry had about 160 jars of food canned per year, right? Um, think like in the 1920s, 1930s. Like in the 1920s, okay, in the Great Depression and stuff like that, the people that starved were not the people living on farms. It was people in the cities. World War I, World War II, people in the cities. Um, the Dutch famine. Okay, the Dutch famine. I forget when that happened. That was in the 1920s, 30s, whatever it was. The thing about the Dutch, because the Dutch were being a homogeneous society, rather than everybody just being cutthroat survivalists by themselves, everybody's like, okay, well, no, we'll barter and trade. Okay, the doctor will work for, he'll do, look at you for like 2 eggs, or whatever. The guy that the farmer that will sell you a small bag of potatoes for a dime, like a wedding band or something. And if you want it back, you pay me back, and I'll sell it back to you. Um, those are the people that amassed wealth in these things. Middlemen, people with land and food. Now, those that don't have any of that, the big one. I mean, this thing has already gone sideways. This thing's already gone south. The Americans have already lost the war. It's just, what is the actual casualty count? We don't know. It's not like 13 people. You know what I mean? Uh, like this idea that all this shit can get destroyed by the rockets, but nobody's standing around it. Like you can hit, flatten all these freaking, you know, um, aircraft hangars, but like everyone only has like maybe one or two guys in there that get injured. You know what I mean? Just look at it this way, okay? Think of all the planes that are flying, okay? Especially the big planes, the ones like how many guys are working on a KC-135 at any one time? What, 30 guys? You know what I mean? That warehouse is going to have 100 people, 12 to probably 100 people, running around, maintenance guys running around, but everybody can seem to get guys. I believe that a lot of these boots on the ground, the early guys are going to be the guys to extract people from embassies. We'll probably catch some of it on video, I'm sure, where you'll see people being, the basically the Saigon rescue, where you got people like dangling off of helicopters on the top of the embassies, right? You're going to see like all these helicopters trying to extract people from the rooftops of motels and stuff like that, right? Because it's just like or these basically roving teams of U.S. soldiers in full convoy, just to escort the people to safety, right? Because they got all these Americans they got to extract, including soldiers, like 50,000 soldiers there, 30,000, whatever the number is. Nobody really can seem to get a straight number of who's there, who's not. And you can imagine how many people are left behind and how many people are just going to be dead in the rubble, right? And to get all those people out, that's going to take time. That's going to take time. And while they're trying to get people out, there's still going to be, there's going to be ambushes. Like again, like there's one thing about taking your guys off the base and putting them on, putting them up in a motel, and everybody's got their M4 with them, versus trying to get them out of that motel to a rally point and not get ambushed the entire way through the city by proxy groups, right? Because again, you're about to see every Middle Eastern country turn into Libya, and again, most of these Gulf state leaders want to keep the war going with Iran. They don't they're like, yeah, we don't care if our people die, just kill all those guys, and we'll take we'll beat down our population later. But that's not going to happen if people start starving, right? Again, you're about to see the Arab Spring 2.0. It's going to make when 11 million Egyptians came out and told Morsi he was fired. Out of the 80 million Egyptians that there is, the guy had to flee the country, right? You're going to see, again, like all these world leaders, you're going to see them fleeing. Like the guy in Djibouti there running with his suitcase to the fucking boat with a bunch of people's chasing down the shooting fucking machetes and rifles. Like you're gonna see that all over the Middle East. It's gonna make Libya look like a fucking picnic. But yeah, getting all those people out of there. You're gonna be bringing in all kinds of extraction aircraft to do like touch and go emergency landings. Okay, here's the C-130. It comes down. Get them all on there. Just make sure they're not dangling off the wheel wells like in Afghanistan, right? I don't know what those guys were thinking. Like, I still can't believe, like, I've seen that. It's like it was raining in Afghanistan. It's like it was just I don't know how to feel about it. I mean, I'm just like I'm watching it, but it's like it's so. But like, who would ever think they could hang on to the side of a C-17 Globemaster and survive, right? But then again, who would be so like? What would make somebody so desperate to think that they could do that? You know what I mean? Like that is what we're dealing with. You know what I mean? That is the craziness we're dealing with. So starvation is definitely going to hit a good sector of the population. Africa will probably be the canary in the coal mine. Well, it'll probably be the Gulf states first because they're the ones getting hit. Like even if we were to stop everything today, Like the only people going through the Strait of Hormuz is those that are basically paying the toll in the won renminbi, and that have got like the Iranians still control the strait. So there is traffic going back and forth. But they hit I forget, they hit a couple of tankers, but they hit one really bad the other night. And now you've got basically oil all through that. You've got an ecological disaster. So all these desalination plants that are, the ones that will still be running, like they're going to be sucking in oil. You know what I mean? Like that'll fuck up the plant. You know what I mean? Like just think of the disaster that's going on. It's yeah. And like we're talking about deaths in the millions at this point. Like there's people walking around dead. They don't even know it yet, and it's going to hit the West. That's the part that's going to make everybody freak out. When they're like, "Oh, it's Iran's fault that everybody's starving to death." No, it's Donald Trump, his administration, and Israel. It's Jews' fault. Like everybody's going to blame the Jews. I know it's not all of them, but if every white person is a racist, bigot, far right Nazi, well, just guess what happens to the genocidal Jews, right? So there it is. That's the world we live in. One bad apple spoils a whole bunch. But even with that, there is a way to get around that, and it's something I wanted to, change the topic a little bit from the shock and awe. And like, okay, like we're seeing more of the same night after night now, and that like the war settling into its rhythm where it's like, okay, this got blown up, that got blown up. The idea that Trump is just going to level Iran if he doesn't get what he wants, like there's nothing Iran can do, right? The goal is to kill Iranians. The goal is not to liberate the Iranian people, even if they did agree to the regime change. Like we saw what they did to Iraq and Afghanistan. Like we know what the Americans are going to do to Iran. And liberating the Iranian people is not one of the. Did they liberate the Iraqis? You know what I mean? Did they liberate the Afghanis? No. It's not about that. It's about killing 91 to 94 million Iranians so that Israel can have the territory, right? And the Gulf states, right? But the Gulf states, it doesn't really matter if Iran destroys them or Israel and the United States destroy them later. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like the goal is to clear the land. Like the Israelis have already said the quiet part out loud. Let's say they're successful. Somehow they can actually defeat Iran. They can't, but let's say they can. And it was but they're Iran's getting so many targets blown up. Yeah, but when you're double tapping, triple tapping targets you already blew up. Like there's a report that maybe one of the tunnels got blown up. Possible, but it's hard to say, right? Yeah, so you're not going to get SEAL Team 6 in there. You know what I mean? And there's just way too many, like American soldiers are going to stand out. Like even the rebel groups, like I'm sure they've got people harboring soldiers all throughout Iran and Mossad guys or whatever. But like, there's no way to really support those guys. It's not like Iraq and Afghanistan where you've got these air bases where you can, okay, we'll airdrop our guys with some Chinooks and Blackhawks on the backside of the mountain, let them, take some camels into the behind enemy lines for the next 3 days. Well, that's not gonna. You're not gonna be able to support those guys, right? You'll be able to get them there, but you won't be able to get them out. You know what I mean? Because it's like the Iranians again, they've got about a 1 million-man army to 1.2 to 1.5 million man army there. And then plus the citizens, they're friend versus foe. I'm sure there's people that tribally they're against the regime or whatever, but even at that, like it's just like there's no way to win this war. And the thing is that the idea of flying a Maduro style raid with some Ospreys because you got a few guys on the inside that you think you're negotiating with. Like, I'm pretty sure the Iranians, they might not know every spy that's in there, but they're gonna be able to find them fairly quickly. You know what I mean? Like, there's no doubt about that. It's just the jig's up, right? So this idea that you're gonna raid a compound, steal all the uranium out of there, and then fly out with it. like I mean, like the fucking guys, even if they could do that, you realize the hazard that like you can't just use soldiers to move like fucking uranium. You know what I mean? Like like there's a whole procedure that needs to be followed there. Like, yeah, the guys, yeah, we got the uranium. Oh, I feel sick. They crash the Osprey before they die of radiation poisoning before they can even make it to the coast. Again, would they try it? Like again, I mean, we'll be entertained no matter what. We're going to be entertained no matter what, right? But no, the real scary thing here is the fertilizer. Even over the oil. Oil goes, fertilizer goes. Fertilizer goes, you die. Like you guys have probably already seen the videos. Like there was a lady, I don't know if it was in Australia or where the fuck she was. No, might have been California. Who knows? Who knows? Bags of again. You see these. We'll call it the Florida Man syndrome. Where they've got a pickup truck with like a turtle, like a fucking pool liner in the back. And they fill it all with gas. They drive down the road, like with all this gas, and like people do like fucking crazy shit. Number one, it's like if you're gonna spend that much on the gas, like bags, like basically shopping bags of gas. Number one, the gas is gonna eat right through that. Again, I'm always surprised of how like just out of touch with like how anything works. Like my generation, I mean, we had this whole class about mechanical reasoning, how to figure out how things work. Like I get it, not everybody knows everything about everything, but like you should know that you can't put gasoline in a shopping bag for long periods of time, right? Like what are you thinking? And the other thing is that why waste the money on the gasoline? I'll be honest with you. Spend that money on the food. When the gasoline runs out, like okay, yes, have some gasoline if you've got the extra money, but the food you can't eat gasoline. You know what I mean? Like the gasoline's going to run out one way or the other, and gasoline, okay, is going to have another problem, and then it's just shelf life. You put preservatives in there, and you might get 6 8 months of. But you get like imagine having like $3,000 worth of gas cans full, and by the time like you get halfway through of it, it just doesn't even fucking burn anymore because like right now they're putting more ethanol into the gas to offset the shortage, right? So they're going to be fucking up everybody's vehicle on top of that. Buy a bicycle, guys. Buy a bicycle. Like it's like look, you can get a horse, but you have to feed a horse. A bicycle, okay, you go out, you buy a bicycle, okay. You might, oh, but I can't bike and blah 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 blah. Okay, get one of those tricycle. Don't get an e-bike. Get like you can go to Canadian Tire and buy a trike with the basket on the back, adult trike. They're fairly comfortable. You can even put a little backrest on it, right? You're going to be slow. You're going to be fucking slow as fuck, and if there's any wind, you're going to be really slow. But you got a basket on there, okay? And you just buy, say, 6 sets of tire tubes, and maybe 3 tire tube patches, and maybe 2 sets or 3 sets of tires. And maybe 3 spare chains. That bike is probably you'll die before you use all that up. Like my bike from 2003 still has the original chain and sprockets on it. Why? Because I just learned how to maintain it. You know what I mean? And is it perfect? No. Is it a race bike? No. Are things wearing down? Yeah. But that's one good thing about the Canadian Tire bikes is they're all made out of steel. So like aluminum sprockets, that's race bike stuff. You don't want race bike stuff. You want stuff that's going to work forever, right? That's why you can still find a bike from 1902 that just needs tires. You know what I mean? Like it's like my grandmother's bike is still in there. It's probably a little bit rusty, but I'm sure I can get it going with a new set of bearings, and you know what I mean? Because it lasts forever. And the thing is it's cheap. So I'd rather do that. Have a means of getting around. You can get those little cargo bikes. Those things are cool. They're not fast. They're not meant to be fast. But if you have to go from point A to point B when there's no gasoline, you can do it. You could be. You ever seen that movie, The Postman, with Kevin Costner? Kevin Costner? The guy that played in Waterworld. Yeah, Kevin Costner, right? Anyway, that guy. where it was after the Civil War, and the idea was to get the letters through, keep the mail going, right? That was the number one service, government service, was the mail delivery, right? Well, you might be the new postman. You know what I mean? You might have to do everything with bicycle. Maybe there'll be 10 of these. Okay. I can guarantee that the except for the one girl, she looks like she's in pretty good shape. Of the mail delivery, because I know the people, they're older, right? They're if the gasoline's down, they have to deliver letters. Um, I can guarantee you that they won't be taking bikes all over the place. You know what I mean? Yeah, we're talking like 1930 style, postman, right? Say, okay, well, I'll bring in the mail today. I can do the mail, 3 days, and then I gotta rest my body. Okay, your mail that used to be able to get on a daily basis now takes 3 weeks to get, whatever, but it's still flowing, right? So there's a job. You become an apocalyptic postman. Now that said, probably gonna have to carry a gun with you because, like, if it was like anything like in the in the frontier times, yeah, people would, people went after, because people sent money through mail and stuff like that, and jewelry and all kinds of stuff. So robbing the postman was a lot of times paid off, right? So, but yeah, like I would focus on that, like the whole gasoline thing, gas generators, stuff like that. Well, before you buy gas, maybe get some off grid stuff, wind and solar, right? It's still going to last you longer. It might not be the permanent fix, but it'll still last you longer than any of the gasoline will. Go buy yourself one of those crank radios. I had one for years. It finally corroded up enough. I had it on my sailboat. You go like that, you get about 20 minutes, half an hour. You can listen to your show, your news, whatever. Shut it off. Didn't need batteries. And you can still buy these things. Like, right, go buy two. Maybe three. If you get three of them, it'll probably last you the rest of your life. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. I think I paid $8 for mine. It was really, really cheap, and I got like 3 or 4 years out of it before it corroded, right? And it only corroded because I left it in the sailboat over winter. And, oh shit, I forgot. It finally corroded, but yeah, you can get yourself like disaster emergency radios and stuff like that. Like go into like a good camping store and just look at survival gear. Like I mean, like get yourself like off-grid kettles and stuff. Like get all that stuff. Start looking at like buck skinners, frontiersmen, stuff like that. And because the reason why I say look at that stuff is because it puts you in a different mindset of sustainability. Whereas if I have to keep a generator running for, forever and a day, and I have to be able to drive here, drive there, and okay, well, go with low tech, works no matter what. The best thing you could invest in is mason jars and oxygen absorbers, because you could, basically throw in rice, beans, whatever with the oxygen absorber, and that will stay basically 25, 30 years. You'll be dead by the time you use it all. But you get a collection of like say 200-300 mason jars and stock up on the lids and stuff like that. That'd be better money spent than all the desperation for the gasoline, right? So like we're going to be seeing gas shortages. We're already seeing gas shortages through Southeast Asia, which is the Philippines they're already rioting over there. There's a massive again. News, like all these countries that used climate change to shut down their industries, like Germany, New Zealand. We did a lot of that in Canada, Australia, all that. When the apocalypse hits, it's like fuck. Now nothing's going. Here in Canada, we still import like certain fuel to mix with the heavy crude, right? For refinement stuff. So it still affects us. Like even though we're like if we don't bring on another immigrant, we're okay. You know what I mean? In fact, we're doing the right thing by getting rid of people. Now's the time to do it before like at some point it's going to be like okay, 2 airliners leave the country per month. because there's not enough fuel, right? Right now, like Carney. Okay, all I know, I've seen the cringe. I forget what the award was or whatever, but all these people crying. Yeah, the other night, and somebody didn't say something in French, so they got fired for Air Canada or something. Yeah, okay, yeah, I seen that. That stuff drives me nuts. It's cringe. I hate it. I hate Carney for that. But on the other hand, that's again, remember that guy's a slime ball too, right? So he portrays his own. It's just he does it under the radar. For example, Rachel Gilmore, one of the most insufferable fucking progressives you could ever listen. I hate that woman with a passion. She's just so fucking disingenuous. She's one of those anti-hate Canada people, right? Um, even her own progressives, like she even gets fired off of the, like she's so over the top, like everybody's a Nazi, But the one thing though is like, um, she's following everything Carney does because to her, Carney's a far right Nazi extremist, right? You can't even make this up. And one of the things he's doing is he's cutting entitlements for refugees. Not enough to my liking, but I'm like, okay, so you're telling me 2 quarters in a row, for the first time since 1947, Canada's population